This program is brought to you by realestate.com.au, Australia's #1 address in property. With more properties for sale than anywhere else, we make it easier.
It's good to be with you here on Business Now on this Friday. Let's take you through this week's auction markets. There are 2,104 auctions scheduled across Australia. You can see it here. Australia, that's actually up 1% on the same week last year. So, pretty much the same. In Sydney, there'll be 667 auctions. That is up 52% on the same week last year, which I can tell you was COVID affected. There'll be another 168 auctions in regional New South Wales. Melbourne has 711 auctions. That's down 19% on last year. There's also another 60 auctions in regional Victoria. In Brisbane, 114 auctions, down 30% on last year, and another 120 across the rest of Queensland. Adelaide, 134 auctions, down 17%. Another 8 across South Australia. Canberra, 102 auctions, 13% more than the same week last year. Let's check out the most viewed properties up for auction this weekend. Topping the list, 223 Quarry Road Ryde. This is in Sydney, the suburb, of course. The 5-bedroom duplex has an asking price of $1.6 million. The next, 3 Robin Road, Monks Creek in Victoria. Tiny town on the Great Ocean Road. Beautiful place near Aireys Inlet. The asking price for the 3-bedroom, about $1 million, they're saying. Next up, a Sydney property, 504 Homer Street in Earlwood. 2-bedder, it needs renovating, becomes with an asking price of, $885,000. Then 36 Duke Street in the Brisbane suburb of Bulimba. It's a modern home with 5 bedrooms, and then it's a sandstone home in Adelaide at 64 Fairford Street in Unley. The last property on our list is also the feature property of the week as well. It's an Alpine-style lodge, but it's nowhere near the Alps. It's in Queensland, on the outskirts of the Gold Coast. This 6-bedroom home is called Creagh Lodge, and it's located at number 30 Creagh Court in Tallybudgera in Queensland, good part of the world. The internal space is about 800 square metres, so that's big, with large living areas, high ceilings, fireplaces, a stone feature walls, also got 4 bedrooms and a space for cars. Now, the property sits on 1.4 acres and has multiple levels looking out into bushland. Outside, it's got a large heated pool, sunken fire pit terrace, a terrace and a built-in bar. It's also got 16 CCTV cameras, as you have these days, a video intercom, 7 kilowatt solar power system. Now, the agents are currently taking expressions of interest, but just to let you know, we had a bit of a check around, and comparable properties in the area have sold for around $6 million, just to give you a guide. Now, to work out which way is up or down in these property markets, let's go to Eleanor Creagh from REA Group. Always good to talk to you, Eleanor. Let's start with the volume of houses on the markets. Is there a sense that potential vendors are holding back, not wanting to test the market, but also not necessarily being pushed by their lenders or their circumstances to have to sell?
Yeah, potentially. But I think when you're looking at from the perspective of a vendor, a lot of people that are sellers in this market are also purchasers in the same market. So in a sense, if people are expecting prices to fall potentially a little bit further as interest rates continue to rise and they're holding off from listing their property, what you've also got to think about is if you're purchasing in the same market, you're kind of in net terms no worse off. So I don't know if that's playing too much, and we have seen that the strength of new listings has continued to be relatively strong, although is tapering off a little bit as we have now seen sort of several months of price falls.
And Eleanor, what do you make of that RBA financial stability report today, with a base case of a 10% fall in housing prices across the board in Australia, but a worst case scenario of 30%, talking about the hurt that it might do? It's saying the people who are going to be hurt short term are going to be people at the margin who have borrowed late in the cycle and also may lose employment or whatever happens. That's pretty normal in terms of any cycle. So it's trying to figure out where it might land between those two scenarios, I guess.
Yeah, look, and those risks, I guess, are to be somewhat expected, given the kind of substantial home equity gains that a lot of people are sitting on after the substantial rise in home prices after the last 2 years. The risks are likely to be centred around those people who bought kind of closer to the top of the cycle, who potentially took out larger mortgages expecting income gains to come down the track before interest rates rose as far and as fast as they have. And then potentially being impacted by negative life circumstances, sickness, loss of a job and the like. I mean, those risks are always the risks that you're going to have at the margins, I guess. And when we're coming to kind of the pace of price falls, I'd say somewhere in that 10% region is probably more reasonable, particularly given that we've seen that the RBA have already eased off in terms of their front-loading their rate hike cycle. So the smaller rate hike that we saw this week, potentially signalling that interest rates aren't going to go quite as far and as fast over what's left within this tightening cycle, could potentially provide a little bit of a confidence boost to potential buyers out there in the market at the moment. And potentially, if we do see the RBA pausing on their tightening cycle sooner rather than later, that could, I guess, cause home prices to bottom out sooner.
It's going to be interesting because that's the guessing game for the buyers and the sellers right now, because if it does bottom out sooner, of course, you're going to hold back and wait and just see what happens, especially while employment stays strong.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, although that being said, the pace of rate rises that we've seen so far this year, with the cash rate sitting at 2.6%, maximum borrowing capacities have still been constrained by more than 20% now. So that will continue to put downward pressure on prices. Yeah.
It's no doubt about that at all. Eleanor Creagh, Senior Economist at REA Group. Always good to chat to you on a Friday, Eleanor, and many thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.